Live.
Evening, everyone. Thank you. Welcome to the Arts and Public Places meeting. We will begin at 7:01 p.m. on March 29th. Joe, may I have a roll call, please?
Sorry, yes.
It's okay.
Barbara.
Here.
Cynthia.
Here.
Joe here. Genevieve.
Here.
David is absent. And Krissa is here. Krissa?
If not, she's phoning in a little bit late, maybe. So
okay.
She said it may happen. Okay. First, may I have approval of the March 29th agenda? I have a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed of the agenda say nay. Awesome. Okay. That is approved, and let's approve the February 22nd, 2022 meeting minutes as well, please. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. And I'll second. All those in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
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 Thank you, everyone. Okay, we'll start into old business. And first on our old business is Poet Laureate.
Great. Thanks, Chief. Glad to have Maggie here. Hi, Maggie.
Hi, everyone. Good evening.
Around the final selection for the pavement poetry. I don't know if you guys had a chance to take a look, but I sent it as a PDF just in case. And I'm glad Maggie's here. So if you have any questions about the selection, you can ask her directly. She notified me that there are 4 key events we're going to be doing for National Poetry Month in Annapolis. Hidden poetry, which will be, I think, Maggie, you're going to do that, right? You're going to be hiding poems around downtown Annapolis and then encourage people via social media to find the poems that interact with them. The pavement poetry, which Maggie will go into. Third, Poetry Musing, which is adult poetry and open mic night with Art Farm on Friday, April 22nd. And then partnering with Art Farm to write a poem for Marilyn Hall Presents Women in the Arts, a dialogue with nature and environment, featuring the works of Maryland's First Lady, Yumi Hogan. Kind of like it's pretty full, I think. That's a nice selection for our first go around for Poetry Month. So Maggie, if you want to go ahead, I'll turn the floor over to you if you want to talk about the pavement poetry project.
Sure. Thanks, Barbara. So in January, I was still sort of up in the air for, how I was going to make these stencils, things like that. And I just kept thinking, I know I said this in January, there's got to be a way I can do this cheaper and a little greener, because then what are we going to do with these giant vinyl, So I reached out to more places, but the new library on West Street, they have one of those Cricut machines. And honestly, I think it's really going to work. So I went last Friday and met up with Gabby Norton, one of the librarians there, who is like the Cricut machine master. And honestly, we're just going to stencil them on thick, flat cardboard or really thick cardstock, and piece them together to make our lines of poetry. And they were honestly really excited that I reached out, because now it's kind of like, they're partnering with me for this project. So that's a great thing too. I mean, why not, right? It's the library. So that is all good. I told her after tonight I would reach back out to her and we would set a date that we to make the stencils for the lines of poetry. Are there, and then I have some questions. So I'm just because I'm new to this and I'm not sure how all of this works. So I guess my first question is, back in January, we had talked about the, like doing them in the different wards. And that's kind of the vein then that my students picked the lines of poetry in, but they could really be anywhere. So is there do I have to reach out to someone from the city about, putting these lines of poetry on the pavement or for like specific locations? So that's one of my questions.
So we might have to coordinate it with Public Works just to make sure. Yeah, I think we can just call the department head and talk about it and figure out, how to best apply it and what they suggest for this, since you're putting it on cardboard and so it would have to lay flat, right? Correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna want that on the sidewalk, but maybe we can figure something else out as far as like.
No. Sorry if
Okay.
sorry if I was confusing you. It's still gonna be
Spray paint.
temporary spray paint. Yeah.
Okay.
That's just
Yep.
for the stencils because of, the sign shops and
Yeah.
how expensive all that was gonna be.
I think we just need to double check with DPW so they know that we're doing it, the Department of
Okay.
Public Works, yeah, just to make sure, because I believe the mayor's office already said that we could do it. So if I remember the communication properly,
Okay.
don't quote me on it, but yeah.
Is there, and then I will gladly, if there's someone that I need to call or email for that, I gladly will. And I will ask them locations. Yeah. So right now I have, like on my little proposal, I found a temporary spray paint, but I think I remember someone from the January meeting saying that they had used something before, and maybe that is what the city wants. So I guess I can double check on that too.
Yeah, so the city might have a resource and they might even have some paint left over. I'm not sure, from when they did the temporary bike lanes and stuff, they put the little logos on the bricks.
Oh, right. Okay.
So yeah, we can check with them too.
Okay.
Yeah.
My installation for that, the date, it is still at the end of the month. I know that's sort of, on the way out of poetry month, but I think it will still be, I think it's still okay as an event for April. And is it okay that I'm giving my students some manual labor and having them do this with me? Is that okay? Is that permitted?
I
Yeah.
don't see why it wouldn't be. Yes,
Okay.
yeah, as long as, the school allows you to have permission, with the children, then
Yeah, right, exactly.
that's not for us to say, so.
Other
So it's all
hurdles,
good.
different hurdles, to jump through.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I guess my other question surrounding this is like for, cardstock or flat cardboard that we're saving, or cardstock that I'm buying, that's obviously not going to cost too much. But in terms of, say they don't have any leftover temporary paint or anything like that. So how does purchasing work, and what are steps that I need to follow?
So if you, presented an ask tonight for funds to assist you with this, then, and if it was approved, you would just have to submit an invoice to us to give to procurement to reimburse you for the amount that was awarded to you.
Okay. Yeah, so I won't need the 1,500 now that I'm doing it with the library. So
Okay.
I would imagine it's much, maybe a couple hundred, depending on what the paint situation will be. And I guess once it's approved through Public Works, that's sort of like, the permit to do it in the city, correct?
Yeah, I would imagine as long as we get permission from the city manager and Department of Public Works, we should be good. So.
Okay. I think that answers my questions, other than do we have a preference to locations? Because again, I know originally we were thinking of the different wards, or I thought of in my proposal were just the locations, just in sort of more like the downtown area where we're getting a lot of foot traffic and people are walking.
Anyone have thoughts?
Maggie,
Go ahead.
before I answer that question, part of Maggie being poet laureate, she gets $300 a year for supplies. Is it possible that we can just use that for the paint and the cardboard, since it seems to be a nominal, as opposed to having to go through the typical funding mechanism we have?
Yeah, we can get procurement to get her a check for the 300. And then if there's any overage expenses, then you could invoice that. You could bring that invoice back to us and ask us to cover those costs. And if AIPPC approves it, then we would send that invoice over to procurement.
And regarding, it would be nice to have them in the ward, but would we have to coordinate that with our alderman or alderperson?
I don't know if we would have to. I mean, you could reach out as a courtesy gesture, maybe to ask if they had a suggestion, but I don't see that as being a requirement. I think the main things would just be making sure that the Department of Public Works knows that we are putting temporary paint on the sidewalk so they don't come over and scrub it off or whatever. And then, that the city is aware that we're, this is art.
Right.
And we'd like it to stay there as long as, it can, so.
I do also like the idea of it being out in the wards. And even if you asked sort of just as a courtesy, not everybody might respond to you, but I think that would be actually really good information for us. Like if the alderman or somebody in the ward has a pretty strong idea about where stuff goes, I would like to know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do have a quick question actually. Sure. As well. We had talked about whether or not you were going to be able to kind of indicate once they're on the sidewalk that this was a Poetry Month project. Where did you land on that?
Yeah, I guess I haven't thought, I know, because someone suggested the really cool idea of making it like a scavenger hunt or something like that. I guess I didn't circle back around to that, other than, obviously I can take photos of it during, in the midst of the process and things like that. But sorry.
We could use social media.
Yeah, that's, and I actually don't feel strongly one way or the other. I kind of like happening upon random works of art that I can't quite explain. So either way, if you decide there's a way that you can easily tag them or not, I'm just curious what you were thinking.
Right, yeah. Something else, another good thing to thought, yeah.
But I think social media would be good for that, even if you, aren't going to put a tagline on it saying, Poetry Month, whatever, to keep the cutting down to just the poems, then I think we could easily use social media, and we could probably ask Mitchell in the mayor's office if she'll put out a press release too as well, saying, for Poetry Month, our poet laureate and Arts and Public Places are doing this project. So people will be aware when they see it, or they can look for it. So I think that would be helpful too.
Okay. Do you think anyone would be against, and maybe this would be overkill, but if they were distributed through the 8 wards and then we all, do you think that, no, overkill? Or you think
I don't think it's overkill. No.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I don't either.
Yeah.
Maybe
it was more art.
Right, because maybe not everyone will, truly get around to, going to all the wards to see them, and they could be downtown.
Yeah, so if we just put some sort of piece together with information about like Barbara just went down all the things that we're doing. If we can compile that together and send that over to Mitchell and ask her to post, she also will send it out to the newspaper. Maybe the Capitol will pick it up.
great.
Paul
Okay.
Gillespie does like to run around and take pictures of things of interest, for the paper too. So maybe that's something that could get featured too to help spread the word. So
Great. I think those are all of my questions. And I'm sorry, right now I don't have, like I said, it's not going to cost the 1,500. But I don't necessarily, I guess once I find out the paint answer from someone in Public Works, then but yeah.
So after this meeting, I'll contact procurement about the $300 and see if they can cut you a check. And so that'll get you started at least. They cut checks on Fridays. So generally then they mail them out. So it's probably going to take a couple of days, just so you know.
Yeah, and that's okay. I mean, I've got to get back to the library to make the stencils and do all that. So we've got some time.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you want me to go into anything else happening for Poetry Month, or is what Barbara said? Or are there other questions about pavement poetry? I'm not sure.
I'm good. I follow your social media, so I keep up what you're doing and I follow along. And I do share it, on the Arts and Public Places pages too, as well. So if anybody wants to reference those on Instagram and Facebook, and when I post it on Facebook or Instagram, it also pops up on our city webpage too. So there is a feed on there. So if anybody happens to come across AIPPC on the city website, they'll see the feed below and can click on it too. So I think the information is getting out there. It's just whether people know where to find it. So I'll keep sharing. And
thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
So I don't have any further questions. If anybody else does, they can ask. Okay. Maggie, you're awesome.
I just wanted to say, Maggie, you're doing such a fine job. It's really, thanks for all your energy and for all your hard work. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm having I think I say this every time. I'm having so much fun in this position, and I appreciate being here.
It's a
You're the
lovely
best
project.
poet laureate we've ever had.
It's true. She's awesome.
The second one, I'll take that, right?
The competition is fierce.
Yeah, and the hidden poems, I'm gonna go run around and hide them downtown. And then with every poem, there's gonna be a little slip I'm giving people some options to interact. There is a day in Poetry Month that's just called Poem in Your Pocket Day. And you're just supposed to, share poems and carry one around. So I have that. I tell them they can tag themselves reading it and share it to Instagram, or just maybe post a picture that, hey, they found a poem downtown. And so I thought that would be a fun little scavenger hunt to something just additional to do. Yeah.
Yeah. That's really cool too. If they tag us, I can repost as well. So I can, or if you post it and then just tag me in it, then I'll snag it from your page too.
Perfect. I think that's all I have.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you again.
Hi, everybody. It's Krista. Sorry I'm late.
It's all good, Krista. Thanks for joining us.
Yep.
Okay. So I think next month I'll have Audrey Lee come and give the gallery update. The Birds of Annapolis is going in at Pip Moyer April 16th through June 14th. And they are, I think everybody will remember that there was a photography project that we helped fund that was in coordination with the community and the Annapolis Police Department. So they are working now, Audrey is with them curating the photos and getting those ready to hang in City Hall at a future date too. So those are the updates I have. The schedule is still available through the Google Docs. If you want the link, let me know and I'll send it back out again. But she's been keeping it updated, and they had the reception at the City Hall. They did use the outdoor area, and it was a nice little reception. There was not a reception at the Pit Moyer for the end of the exhibit there, but I will make sure that the schedule keeps getting updated. And I think I'll have Audrey come and just give us a general update, since we had her on as our temporary curator for our gallery exhibits. I think we have to make a decision at some point if we're going to post it, or if we'll keep Audrey on, or if she wants to stay. Or so I think I'll have her come in and we'll have that conversation. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll have Audrey get with you on that. Next up would be proposed mural updates, and I believe Cynthia has an update regarding the Cars Beach Park area. So I'll hand it over to Cynthia.
Okay, great. This is a long-standing project. I believe maybe Barbara is familiar with this from the past. What it is, it's been a project with the lack of a home for many, many years. And the SOFO group has stepped forward, and they want to collaborate. And they have agreed, Max Pettit, who has the car wash along Forest Drive and is a member of SOFO. He is very enthusiastic about having some photo murals along the side of that very large building. So once again, Deanie Henson will be the lead partner on this, as she has been from the beginning. She's the executive director of the Hoppy Adams Foundation, if you don't know who she is. So it's between the Hoppy Adams Foundation, SOFO, and Vince Leggett of the Blacks of the Chesapeake is also very interested in this project. Long term, we do want to plan ahead for when the Elktonia Beach site is available, and the discussion has been around having a open air pavilion or a kiosk, and having some of these photo murals and some kiosk ability for playing the music of the era. But also there's been a lot of really great footage, both the county and the local news stations, so we could possibly have, a audiovisual kind of walk back in time memories with the music tie-in. So these photo murals will eventually be down at the site on Elktonia Beach next to Cars Beach. But in the meantime, our partners all along have been Art at Large, Sally and Lindsay. Lindsay, by the way, is about to have her baby, I believe. She sent quite a while back an invoice. They need $1,500 to look at the site, really determine, specifications, because the old specifications were for, long ago were for the side of the giant building along Cars Beach Road, Edgewood Road. So in order to have 3 photo murals along that big building, they need to look at the specifications, look at the scope of work. So the initial ask is for $1,500 to complete that scope of work, and looking at the specifications that would be needed for that, and eventually, hopefully, with we have had some funding in the past for this project. So this is actually a completion of the previous work that they had started on, which fell through maybe 10 years ago. So basically that's the longstanding project. It's a very worthwhile project, and Deanie has picked 3 of the photos that she has in her collection to be on the side of the car wash, and which would eventually be down at Elktonia Beach.
Do we have a presentation with the 3 photos?
Well, we'll have that. Yeah, Deanie is going to come and present.
Okay.
But initially, in order to get this project up and running, Art at Large, I believe you saw the invoice that they sent previously for 1,500. That was a while back. I can resend it to you. And once again, that was specifications for a different site.
Yeah, that was for the giant, and that was just for the.
Actually, it was for the federal house.
Oh, that was. Oh, yes, that was when we were looking to put it there.
Right, right.
After giant, yes.
Right.
Okay.
So the size, all of the specifications will be different, obviously, since it will be 3 different photo murals, because the space is so large. And Max Pettit, the owner and SOFO member, he was saying, well, let's put 4 up there. But I think Deanie says that, I think three will be fine initially.
Okay. And so that original, that scope fee goes to Art at Large, correct?
Right. That's right. That's right.
Okay. Does anybody have any other questions for Cynthia regarding this?
Good news.
Yeah, it's a long overdue project.
Mhm.
Trying to find a home. Okay, do we have a motion to approve the ask of $1,500 to be paid to Art at Large?
I make the motion to for the scope of 1,500 to Art at Large.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, Joe, can you do a roll call, please?
Barbara,
Aye, yes.
Carissa, we'll come back.
Okay.
Cynthia,
Oh, there
Aye.
she is.
I'm a
Um,
yes, sorry.
okay,
I'm a yes,
thank
I'm
you.
driving.
Thank you. Genevieve
Yes.
and Joe, aye.
Okay.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, can you, Cynthia, can you just have her send me a new updated invoice though? Because I wanted to reflect that she's scoping a new site.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Thank you.
Mhm. You're welcome.
Okay. Does anybody have any other mural updates outside of the mural that's going to present later? I know that we're still working on the poetry mural with Laura. They did apply for the county spot off of Calvert. So I'm not really sure what the status is of that, but I'll have to double check with them and the Arts Council and see what's happening with that mural. Otherwise, if they are not selected, I know that she wants to move forward with it and she liked the idea of making it temporary and moving it from ward to ward. So, and having it grow, we can add to it. So we'll have to figure out the logistics of that. The status on the gas station, I don't know what's happening with that. The city's handling some stuff with it. So we may not have that spot for a little bit, but we may have the spot. I don't know. I'll let you know. When I know, I let you know. And that's all I have for mural updates at this time. So we can move to grant updates if there are any, Joe. No.
There's not. David sent me something last week and I was going to actually ask him in this meeting. So I will follow up with him. I wasn't quite sure what it was, but I think it's somebody being in touch with him about,
Oh, yes. Yeah, he has a contact, somebody who
Yeah.
wants to help us with grants. So, yeah. No. Okay.
so I'll follow up with him on that.
Perfect. Thank you. And then we'll move on to public outreach updates. So David has the grant assistance. He doesn't live in the city, so he can't join the commission, but he's willing to help us on the side with the grant stuff. So we have that working. And then that's all I have for public outreach updates currently. And then move on to budget. Budget is the same for reference as the one I sent out last month. Changes have not been made and updates have not been done to it. So we stand where we were last month with it. And then does anybody have any questions on the old business before we move on to new business? Okay. So we can move on to new business then, and we'll bring Jason Leggett in to do his proposal for the design district mural.
Is that the same as Allison, who has since entered the chat, or are they separate?
No, Allison is for Arts Week.
Okay, thanks.
She's next after Jason, yes. Hi, Jason. I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself and give your proposal to the group. You just need to unmute.
Hey, everybody. Sorry about that. My name is Jason Liggett. I'm originally from Annapolis. I'm a professional mural painter. And I want to say thank you to all you guys. I can only see one of you right now, but thank you. And I was supposed to be here last month and I got confused on how to join the group. And thank you guys for your service, for what you're doing for Annapolis. A little bit about me. I started in 2016. Let me back up a little bit. As a kid, I grew up in Broadneck. I went to Broadneck Elementary. I went to Broadneck Senior High School. My mother was lieutenant commander at the Naval Academy, and I grew up running around the Naval Academy with Admiral Marriott. So I have a deep connection with the Navy and all that. I don't know how much you want to hear about me as far as who I am, but I'm around Annapolis, but I've also traveled the whole world. I've been around. So do you just want me to get into the proposal on what? Yeah, okay.
Does anybody have any questions for Jason before he poses the proposal? Okay. All right. Yeah, you can jump right in.
All right, sweet. So yeah, let me grab this camera a little bit. I brought out a couple things to show you guys my skill level, and I probably just messed that up. I apologize. This is horrible. All right, so you guys can see. I have like an illustrative style, but I'm also really into trying to incorporate photorealism. I've always been a bit of a cartoonist though. So this is the actual, oh my goodness, this is pretty difficult to grab this thing. Okay. Here we go. So here is a pan of the proposal. This diver here is 20 feet tall, and this is the Chesapeake Light Craft building down there off Chinkopin in the industrial district. And as I scroll through, you can see like there's a treasure chest. He's underwater. It's a big underwater scene. There's like a little crab down there. And as we scroll over, there's this giant 25-foot crab sort of illuminating the exit, kind of putting the diver in a bit of a precarious position, you know, and that's the perspective I wanted to give the viewer, because a lot of the murals that we have in Annapolis they're cool, you know, they're nature based or they're historical, but I'm an adventure person. I'm a whitewater kayaker. I do all kinds of exciting things, and I grew up in the Naval Academy, and I like vibrant stuff that isn't just the same flavor of Annapolis. I want to bring something more to it, and I think the industrial district is like a gallery where to be down there is one of the greatest honors I could ever imagine. So, yeah, I could talk for a while about the mural.
Anybody have any questions on Jason's proposal? I did mail it out to everybody, so hopefully everyone had a chance to review it. And his letter that he sent to Miss Pindell Charles. So my dogs are barking, sorry. Krista? No, I thought I heard her. Does anybody have any questions?
Can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead,
Yeah.
Barbara.
Hi, Jason, it's Barb. I live in Ward 4, but I live close to with Mural. Where exactly that building is the mural going to be? Because I was just trying to visit.
You're breaking up a little bit, but as far as the location, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Okay. The location is, if you drive down, if you pass Goodwill and you pass the post office, there's a big brick building at the end of the street, and there's already an old mural that's fading, and the building owner doesn't like it on the wall. And so, like, as you're driving, it's at the end and on the corner, so it kind of catches your eye. It's almost like a revealed little treat at the end of the road. You're like, whoa, look at that giant mural down there.
I have the same question. So it's the wall that faces Southwoods, is that right? Sort of faces
Correct.
into Southwoods. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Correct.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Originally, I approached the building owner about the other wall because I didn't think he wanted to. And he's like, hey, man, this one's fading. If you want this wall, get after it. And I was like, yeah. Let's go. It's twice as big.
Any other questions for Jason? Okay. And so can you just go over your breakdown of costs and your ask for us tonight so everybody knows what they're voting on?
Sure. So the mural itself is 2,400 square feet, roughly 120 feet by 20 feet tall. So in this number fluctuates, but for instance, someone like Jeff Huntington, who you guys work with a lot, yeah, he'll charge anywhere from $10 to $12 a square foot. I'm breaking this one down at $2.50 a square foot, which pretty much breaks down as the concept, and then the pay for the art is about $4,000 for developing it and then actually applying that craft to get it up there. And then the other $2,000 is for the scissor lift rental, the paint, and an assistant if an assistant wanted to be involved. So I'm asking for $6,000 to complete the whole project.
Okay.
This is Krista. Unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to see the mural itself, and I am unfortunately unable to actually zoom in for tonight to see it.
Oh.
So I will defer to whatever our commission thinks on this. Unless there's another place to look at it on a website or something like that. Do you have a draft of it on a website anywhere?
I don't. I'm sorry.
Okay. That's
Krista,
okay.
would
No,
you-
it's all right. It's just
I could text it to you.
Krista, would
you
you?
text it to me?
Yeah. Yeah, I can give him your number but would you be able to access it if I put it in
Yeah,
the
that's
Google
fine.
Docs? Is it easier than opening your email?
Probably not.
Okay,
No, it's probably easier for me to access from my iPhone.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you could email it to me also. I think.
Yeah, it did. It went
Yeah.
out in the email. So it should be in your
I
inbox.
probably didn't see it. We're so swamped. We're
That's
so
okay.
swamped at work last month. It's just insane.
It's okay.
So
Okay. Well, do we have a motion to support Jason's mural for his ask of 6,000, or do we have an additional, a separate motion for funding?
Genevieve, I had a question. I know we're kind of tight with our budget because we're getting close to, I guess, the end of our fiscal year, right? Or almost. Is it possible to vote or partial and then later? Is that
I mean, he could, if the commission chose to give partial, and if he needed more money, he could come back and ask for more. There's nothing that says that he can't. Well, no, that's not true. Well, maybe we could get it approved because it's for the same project. It's just our code says we can only support the artist once per our fiscal year, but then our fiscal year starts again in July, so a whole new year. So there's ways around it, but I would recommend that, you know, a motion be made that would support him as much as we think we can support him and not require him to come back a second time, just to make it easiest. But he could, I think he could. We would just have to double check with Ashley because it's for the same project. It's not like he's doing a separate project somewhere else in town. And so we're double paying the artist, you know, twice in our fiscal year. And also because our fiscal year starts over again in July. So on July 1st. Any other questions? Okay. Then I can open the floor for a motion if we have one. And I do want to say though, you know, we're not real low on our budget. I think the music proposed budget for our summer programming, just so everybody knows, is only going to be 18 when I originally said that it was going to be 25. So we are good on that aspect. And then even though the budget spreadsheet doesn't reflect what our actual current balance is, once that is fixed, then we do have an additional 45,000 in our budget. That should, so plus whatever's left currently for this fiscal year, because the 2021 fiscal year has not been carried over into our balance. So that is the error in our budget that I'm waiting for them to fix. And that's about $45,000.
Oh,
Which is a huge.
this is Krista. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello.
Yes.
So I was able to get into the document,
Oh, good.
and this is going to be more of a critique to you, Jason. I absolutely love the crab and the sun coming, you know, down towards the crab and the vibrancy of it, and just the dynamic, you know, the way you've portrayed that. I don't know that I'm as crazy about how it goes further on and then goes to the guy in the, you know, the diver. So that's just a little bit of my own, you know, taste on this, but I love the crab and I love the, you know, the sun coming through and all of that. So, you know, is this space as long as the space is going to be? Like, I'm not familiar with the location. So can anyone else jump in to say how you feel about this being in that space, and how do you think it will be received with regards to the public? There was comments a while back that when we were going to be bringing art to a community, did we want to get feedback from any of the community with regards to what art we were bringing in and what we were approving and paying for. Remember, that was a discussion in a couple meetings back. So I'll put it out there to those that are in Ward 4. Barbara, is that you?
Yes, but this is actually,
It's actually Ward 3.
Ward 3? Okay.
Yeah, and you, sorry, something just happened to my microphone. Hang on. And it looks like from your information that you did meet with the alderman. Yes.
I spoke with her and then back and forth on the email.
And so what was her feedback to you?
Very supportive.
I think the thing that I, in response to your critique, Krista, the thing that now when I think about it on that particular wall, a couple things that I appreciate about it is one, that it's the Chesapeake Lightcraft is right there. So, but also that wall, you're looking at it at such an acute angle that I can imagine the way the diver and the crab come together is like, there's a lot of space on that wall, but you're going to experience it from this kind of angle that brings them pretty close together, that I think is hard to convey when you're looking at it sort of straight on. Is that kind of right? I'm just totally imagining it in my head, but that seems right to me.
Yeah, it's definitely supposed to have the over the shoulder perspective feel, where you almost feel like you're observing this diver in a very precarious situation with a 20-foot crab, you know.
Yeah, I think that is a little bit what's lost in the I mean, you're showing us the composition, but the way you're actually going to see it from that kind of telescoped angle, I think is part of the effect that I kind of like.
Yeah, the depth of it is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, the point of view is different versus just laying completely flat. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Do we have a motion?
I'll move to support the design mural project for $6,000.
I'll second. Can I have a roll call, please, Joe?
Sure. Barbara.
yes,
Cynthia.
Yes.
Krista.
Yes.
Genevieve.
Yes.
And Joe. That's yes. Motion carries.
Awesome. Congratulations, Jason. Yeah. So the next step is we have to wait until the minutes are approved next month, and then I'll submit the minutes with the invoice to procurement to get you your money. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for presenting. We're really excited to see
you.
that.
Bye-bye, guys. Thank you.
Okay, and then next up we have Arts Week, and I believe Allison Harbaugh will be presenting.
Ooh, that light is bad. Sorry.
Block it.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, lady. Go ahead and jump right in if you would
All
like.
right. Yeah, so our proposal is or our ask is pretty straightforward, I think, compared to what we've asked for in the past. But as you know, Darren couldn't be here. She's having a little kid issue at home. But I wrote this up today, so I'm pretty clear on the concept. But in planning Arts Week this year, we really wanted to hire a couple artists to create live artwork as an Arts Week project. And the cool thing that's happening this year is Annapolis Pride is the same day as our kickoff party. So that day in Annapolis, June 4th, is going to be crazy, crazy awesome. So we've got the Pride Parade followed by the Pride Festival, which is on West Street this year. I think it's from noon to 5, and then our kickoff party follows that from 5 to 8. Don't eat my food, doggy. And talking to Jeremy from Annapolis Pride, we're trying to think of how we could collaborate with him so that we could work together and not against each other, because those are two pretty big events that we want people to come to ours. He wants people to come to his. Of course, his is going to be killer. But we decided that it would be really cool to do a photo booth at the Pride Festival where we would hire a photographer. We would hire an artist before the festival to paint the backdrop for the photo booth. And then that photographer would edit the photos, and then we would project them onto a large wall downtown during Arts Week to kind of tie in the Pride element that happened at the start of Arts Week. So I don't know the full concept because I would really like to let the photographer decide if it's going to be like type portraits or full body. I'm kind of leaning toward full body because I think people will be all decked out in some really cool stuff for the parade. I had talked with Shara Hutzel from Annapolis Waterfront Hotel during one of our recent meetings with local businesses, and they had an idea to project something on their hotel. I just sent this over to them today to see if this is something they'd like to project. So I'm hoping that they're still on board when they see the concept and everything. But that giant white wall that faces City Dock would act as like the projector screen. So that is one idea. Oh, and Jeremy had mentioned that I think a tagline that they're going to use this year is "One Pride, Many Faces," something like that. And I might be butchering it because it wasn't solidified yet, but that's kind of where this concept came out of, so that we can show the community all the different faces of Pride and who supports it, and kind of create a really cool art installation during Arts Week. So that one, the breakdown would be $2,400 for that project, to pay the photographer for the 5 hours at the festival, to pay an artist to paint the backdrop, and then the projection on the building, and a little money for signage at the photo booth so people understand what the project's all about and who's supporting it. And then there's the second kind of ask, which would happen on the same day, but this would be at the actual kickoff party, which is being held at MC3 again this year. It's basically a big picnic on the lawn. It's BYOB. We have a DJ. We have a bunch of county arts groups coming to set up tables and do art activities with anybody, families, adults. Last year it was really cool because it was just like a big networking event for the arts, because artists don't get to always hang out with each other. We're always kind of stuck in the studio or working at our businesses or whatnot. So this was a really neat time for us all to come together and powwow. So recently I've seen the work of Luis Bello. You might have seen his work. It's on the 3rd floor of Maryland Hall. He's a young artist that came up through the Jovenes Artistas program at Maryland Hall, and his work is striking, and he's been doing some cool live pieces. He just did one at Maryland Hall this weekend during Arts, what's it called? Arts Fest, something like that. So we would love to hire him to do a large just canvas painting during the kickoff party so that people can see him at work. And then what happens to that painting could be a million things. Like we could auction it off later during Arts Week. We can display it somewhere really prominent during the week and get him some more attention because he's an up and coming artist. But that's just kind of an extra project to keep some live art happening at the kickoff party. So that would be a $550 ask for that one. So total would be $2,950.
We have questions for Allison.
Hi, Allison. It's nice to see you. It's more of an informational question. I like that you're working with the Pride group, and that if I'm understanding what you're saying, since the Pride event kicks off Pride Month, it's nice that you're suggesting that some of the images from Pride will happen later in the month in the city. That's right? So the timing would be of the projection would be.
So the idea is to project, I mean, as many days during Arts Week as the hotel
Yeah.
will allow, but that Friday is the day that it's the Main Street City Dock kind of focus for Arts Week.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that would be my first ask for the hotel. If it can't be at the hotel, I'm sure we can find another building to project onto that week. But what we talked about with Jeremy is whatever's created, Pride can use it however they wish. So if they want to keep moving it around and projecting around the city or using it for an event, that's totally fine. We're gonna have the photographer agree to that when we hire them.
Yeah, that was actually my other question, just out of interest, because from an archival point of view, like this is a cool project, and like what's the afterlife of it? Like who takes control of those photographs and how do they use them? Because I think it's that's a really kind of valuable piece of it. So
Yeah.
I'm just curious. Mhm.
I personally, we didn't talk in total like detail about this, Darren and I, but as a photographer myself, if I were to do this project, I would want to be able to at least show it as my work. So I think the agreement that we would like to see is that the photographer would basically do like work for hire for this and do the portraits and then turn over the project to Pride to use as they wish and Arts Week for that week. But they could use it for marketing purposes.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
maybe depending on how we agree with everyone, they could sell the portraits to the subjects. But I think that would just be up to the photographer at that point to take it another step. That
Yeah.
It's on them.
Yeah, thanks.
hmm
Any other questions for Allison? Okay. Do we have a motion on the floor for support of these projects? Do we want to break them up into two different projects, or do we want to put a motion out for both? I'm open for suggestions. Okay, keep them together. Just make it easier. All right, do we have a motion on the floor to support? The ask was, you said $2,950 for both events. So the 2,400 would go for the coordination with the Pride community and the photographer and the painting, the backdrop and projection. And then the 550 was to support the artist's live painting at the kickoff event of Arts Week at MC3. So I'll make a motion to support $2,950 to Arts Week. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Thank you, Barbara. May I have roll call, please, Joe?
Genevieve,
Yes, aye.
Joe, I, Krissa,
Aye.
Cynthia,
Aye.
and Barbara.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. I will just, if you can just put it in invoice form for me, please, Allison, send it over to me. And then after our minutes are approved next month, I submit it to procurement to cut a check for you guys.
Who do I make the invoice out to?
You can say Arts and Public Places, City of Annapolis.
Okay, perfect. I will do
Thank
that
you.
tomorrow. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Now we're on to open discussion. I wanted to mention that I did talk to Hillary and she says that the Ward 2 position is good, that they're working on that nomination with the mayor. So we will have a Ward 2 representative to add to our group soon, which is nice to have another number. They're working on 8, and when they officially switch Joe over, which I don't think they've done yet, then they'll be at large, will be available. So she is working on the applications for those now with the mayor, and hopefully we'll have another appointee soon. So as soon as we know when Ward 2 is getting sworn in and who it is and all that stuff, I'll share it with you, but I don't have the info. It's like top secret stuff until it happens, you know.
Good news though.
Yeah, it is good news. Yeah, it'd be nice to fill the seats. And then more ideas and more art. It's always the plan, right? MC3 sent over a request. They're doing some cultural dance groups. So I'll have that on the agenda for next month. And I think that's all I have for open discussion. If anybody else has something, you can go ahead while I look through my notes. Okay, and David and I have been working on the schedule for City Dock. So we'll have that all presented for you next month to approve. Like I said, I think I've got the budget right around 18,000, just so you know. And that includes June, July, August. That includes the performances on every Sunday, as well as the tango, the second Friday of every month. So any questions, concerns, comments, shares? Is everybody surviving the cold weather? It's not fun. Okay.
Kind of done with it, but otherwise fine.
I'm more than done. All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
This is Krista.
Oh, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in and just sort of, updated that I've just been really so pulled into work at the moment. We're less than half of our staff in our division, and so it's been a lot. Does anybody have any update on the Film Fest? Did they have that already, or is that up and coming in April?
Yeah,
Annapolis Fest?
that starts, March 31st. So this week, and then it runs through.
So I haven't missed it, which is a good thing. And I just wondered if Art in Public Places is having any kind of presence with that at all.
So I did speak to them like a couple months back, and she wanted to wait until next year in order for us. I told her, I said that there's possibilities that we could be a sponsor or some other aspect that they may need, assistance with the film festival. As always, everybody's allowed to, volunteer with them too, if anybody wants to or has the time to do that, to help with them. But so I expect her to come and present for next year when they're ready for the organizing for that. But this year we weren't included, besides just helping.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I didn't miss anything, and if any of us were needed or wanted to be present at anything, I just wanted to just kind of double check that, because I hadn't seen it too much on my radar. So
yeah, you can check with them.
Right.
Yeah, you can check and see if they need volunteers still, but I have been sharing all of their updates on our social media platforms in order to help get through. But it starts. Oops. Siri doesn't understand my question. So
thank you. Thanks
you're
for
welcome.
the info.
Yep. Anything else before I call for a motion to adjourn? Okay. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll make the motion to adjourn. Yep, or second it.
Second.
Whichever
All
one you
those in
want.
favor say aye.